Parasympathetic system, the rest and digest, healing and repair system, comes through what we call eustress. You could exercise. You could focus on breathing. You could do yoga. You could do prayer. You could read a book. You could go for a walk. You could eat better. These are eustress moments where you're creating environments that do put your body in stress, but it's actually giving your body an opportunity to vent off the destructive, sympathetic, overcharged. Well, welcome everybody to the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show, where we bring you top-notch information how to live better, be better, and stay better, one bite at a time, one choice at a time. Remember, all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it all. And I want people to recognize that they are in more control of their health than they may have ever known they could be. We are living in an age today that needs to understand the power of choice and that your choices matter. It's your life, your health, your choice, and I want you to choose you in being the best version of you today so that you can be the best you can be to those that need you to be your best, your family, your friends, your work organization, your church, your communities that you are associating with in all ways. No one wants to be around a grump. No one wants to be around somebody that can't control their feelings and they're always emotional. Nobody wants to be around people that are negative Nillies. We want to get people wrapped around the idea that when they live their best, they feel their best, people are attracted to that type of person from a place of influence, a place of leadership, a place of guiding them forward when life gets rocky. Because life's going to get rocky even for those that are jovial. There's nobody going to be absolved to the idea that life is challenging at times. The Bible is very clear. You will have persecution. You will have challenge. But be of good cheer. For the Lord has overcome the world, and so have you if you choose better, live better. And that's what we're going to teach on the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show. So today, we're going to be talking about a pretty awesome topic, I think, that you will all appreciate, and it's stress. Stress leading to anxiety. And when we see stress impacting your personal system, it is very hard sometimes to get locked in to your own issue and you magnify your problem. Your body gets freaked out with things that are hard and things that are problems. So you have to first just change your wording. Instead of focusing on the molehill into a mountain, so to speak, of your problem, you got to start looking past where do you want to be 3 minutes from now, 3 days from now, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now. I always teach patients to live in 90-day gradients. Every choice you make is a 90-day gradient. It's going to see the impact in 90 days. Yeah, I know. It's not quick enough, is it? Well, that's unfortunate, but there are some cool things you can do right this second to calm your nerves if you're ramped up, fired up, and overwhelmed with life. So there is things that you can do in the immediate, which I want to talk to, but I want to really emphasize the true healing, the true restoration of your bandwidth fuse is absolutely positively going to be in a 90-day cycle. And so if you're on your journey and you have some ups and downs along the way, that may be totally and completely normal because you have a stressful life. And there are things that we have to recognize. But we want to talk a little bit about neurotransmitters today. We want to talk about lifestyle practice today. We want to talk about how you can manage and deal with the stresses of life because, man, anxiety really is a real issue that has absolute effects on our body chemistry and how we interact with the world around us. And I want to never make light of people going through anxiety level situations. It's scary, it's overwhelming. When you feel that palpitation in your chest and you feel, oh, is this ever going to go away? Or what is that? And when you start recognizing that you can control how your body is managing those symptoms, you feel empowered, number one, you feel encouraged, number two, and you feel comforted in order to press on and know that this too shall pass. So today we're going to talk about Anxiety, your body, and chemistry. And so we want to define what is anxiety. I mean, right now, it is a feeling in your body of overwhelm. It is a feeling in your body where you feel short fused, where you all of a sudden you wake up and you breathe a breath of fresh air, and then all of a sudden the to-do list, the demands, the deadlines all just pounds you right in the face, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to roll over and hide under the covers. You're driving down the freeway and you miss the exit, something so easy to overcome, and bam, your body absolutely just can't handle making such a minimal mistake because you have to go now, 3.5 minutes out of your way to the next exit. So the anxiety, it wrecks your body in how you respond to situations. You're either reactionary or you're responsive. If you're reactionary, your stress fuse is low. If you're responsive, your stress response is high. It means that whenever you are reactionary, you overreact and your body gets, a feeling of overwhelm, or a palpitation, or this gut-wrenching oof in your stomach, or this massive amount of information that comes in that you can't process quick enough, and you get confused. You actually lose names, numbers, words. You lose thoughts that you would normally be able to grab hold of effectively, and chain different thoughts and phrases together to create an idea for people to understand that what you're trying to share with them matters. And that can be all because of your stress response and how you slept last night. So I built a little acronym for stress. So first and foremost, when we look at stresses, you got to understand what are and I'm going to share that with you in a second, the acronym, but first and foremost, distress is anything that's destructive. So if you are under deadline, demand, pressures of life, and you're not sleeping well, that is a major issue in the realm of how stress affects our body. It affects us directly in how we sleep. And if you don't sleep well, you don't recover well, and then you don't respond well. The next day, you become more reactionary, and it's on and on and on down that road. That is distress. So distress are destructive habits. You could drink alcohol. That is a destructive habit. You could skip sleep and not sleep well through the night. That's a destructive habit. You could just have multiple deadlines where you just don't say no to things, and you've now overextended yourself. That is destructive because now your mind is just racing and ramping up all the time. And think of an engine redlining. Why would you ever push the engine to that level, but yet you push yourself to that level all the time? We were never designed to live in a flight or fight response. So fight or flight responses is that sympathetic upcharge in your body. You have two systems, a stress out, fight or flight, run for the hills or beat your way out of the situation, or a rest and digest, parasympathetic response, and that's what we want to look at. So distress, or things that are stressful or things that overwhelm you, are destructive, right? So that is sympathetic, and people get locked into sympathetic overload and they can't get out of it. They can't get off that rat race, and then they actually feed into it by putting stimulants in. They put alcohol in. They get worse nights of sleep because of that, and then it's just this compounding, perpetuating cycle of demise. It's a terrible way to live. Can you agree? Yeah, I know you can, because we've seen it. We see the impacts of stress. So the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest, healing and repair system, comes through what we call eustress. You could exercise. You could focus on breathing. You could do yoga. You could do prayer. You could read a book. You could go for a walk. You could eat better. These are eustress moments where you're creating environments that do put your body in stress, but it's actually giving your body an opportunity to vent off the destructive, sympathetic, overcharged, and bring you into balance of parasympathetic rest and digest. So for me, when I get up in the morning, and people harass me all the time about, I work out too much, or I'm too hard on myself about, my training schedule. For me, I'm so type A, and I think knowing this about myself is important. So knowing yourself matters, because I can live with myself mostly. And exercise brings my stress response down because I just naturally ramped up. Well, some people are so on the other side, they're a little bit more on the downside, and so exercise would actually bring them up. So we're using stress to exercise, in this case, to bring balance or homeostasis back to the system where they're not ramped up and not able to handle stress, sympathetic, and overdrive. They're able to leverage their parasympathetic, their rest and digest, and evaluate a situation well. So that is going to be the take an assessment portion of stress and anxiety and what you can do to manage stress. Is first and foremost, wake up in the morning and assess the stress. Take a questionnaire. I have these in my office, and it's simple. Just the simple one is just a timeline stress questionnaire. A 7, 8, 9, or a 10 on the stress scale, 10 being the worst, panic level stress. So when you're at panic level stress, at what I would call a 9, 10, that it means you are way past evaluating what you should have been paying attention to weeks, months prior, sometimes even years. I mean, your body can handle a lot. When you're in the 7, 8 zone, you're in that what we call nervous overwhelm. So nervous overwhelm, anxious is in that kind of department of 7 and 8. And we want to help a person recognize when they're at a 7 and 8, overwhelm, anxious thoughts, your mind is racing, and you can't seem to get a grip, that you need to be intervening right then and there. That's where you start going, am I slowing down enough to rest my mind and think through my day? Am I taking the time to assess my stress? Am I supplementing well in order to down-regulate stress and calm my mind so that I can think through the processes that life is throwing at me day in and day out? Because family pressure is real. Work pressure is real. Deadline school pressure is real. And so recognizing the patients that I've seen in my office all lead to one of these places. So anytime you're a 7 and 8, nervous, overwhelmed, anxious, when you're in a 9, 10, panic overdrive, there's different things we have to do to pull you back down into what we call the 5, 6 zone, right? We've got to get you under the 7 into the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 zone so that your body is more resting. And Never in Society, there's a great book called Why Zebras Never Get Ulcers. And it talks about in the days of hunting and gathering, yes, fighting a saber-toothed tiger or a lion was scary. However, that didn't happen every day. These animals aren't preying on humans unless attacked, or they're hungry too. So you're both on alert. But really and truly, zebras only have one time a day when they are in stress mode, what we call distress, sympathetic, run for the hills, fight or flight, whatever we want to call it. And that's when the lions are hungry and on the move. When they're on the move coming after a herd and you see the gazelles jumping, you see the zebras jumping, you see all that activity, everybody in the herd is very, very alert, fight or flight. But after that, and the animal and little Johnny got eaten, and that's unfortunate for little Johnny, but the rest of the herd just says, well, the great circle of life continues, and everybody just sits down, chills out, and they all live happy, together again. Isn't that interesting? So most of their day, they're resting. There's only a moment in time where they're stressed. But think about your life for a second. You go, Dr. Chapa, on that stress take assessment scale you just threw out there, you said 7, 8 was nervous, overwhelmed, anxious thoughts. 9, 10 is a panic, and like to the point where you're really freaking out, about to lose your marbles, what's the old word? Split your wig. That was split your wig, and everything's catastrophic at that point. How often do you find yourself living in that space? Have you ever really thought about it? Like with the demands of life and with the challenges that you're facing? And if you find yourself constantly going, yeah, I'm a 7 every day. I'm a 12. I've had that one. And all of those are real thoughts that if you learn to assess your stress regularly, you'll know how to pull out of these areas, right? So when we look at stress, we see stress affecting neurotransmitters in the brain. And so I have this little cool thought about stress steals your calm. How? It lowers GABA's effect in your brain. And GABA is one of your brain brakes. It helps you pump the brakes to see how you can evaluate your surroundings, as opposed to speed up, and then you're like running people over, running into the back of cars. You would never do that, right? Except neurologically you are. You're just not thinking about anybody else except your own situation, and you're just plowing over other people's emotions. You're plowing over your family's emotions and your family's needs or your work needs, and you become somebody that is a little bit overbearing. And so GABA is responsible for that. So you'll feel stuck in this anxiety mode when stress steals your calm or your GABA. And then stress affects our serotonin levels. So stress drains your mood's fuel supply. When serotonin drops, you feel the weight of sadness and anxiety just set in, and it just won't go away. And it is absolutely brutal. You know, loneliness will leave a person in this space. And when sadness sets in, it can turn into a spirit of grief. And a spirit of grief is in my opinion, a demonic spirit. It's okay to grieve, right? But we can't stay in sorrow. And so it would go sadness, grief, sorrow. So it's more of a spirit of sorrow is the demonic spirit. Grief is a natural process whenever it happens, but sadness and loneliness can lead to those places and wreck serotonin's ability to keep you what we call joyful. Jesus on you, Joy. Joy is a serotonin sustainable place to be. And so when your serotonin's up, when you're sitting out in the sunshine, when you're enjoying your family, watching something that makes you feel, really good inside, that sustains how you're going to interact with the world around you, that is joy by definition. And joy is not a dopamine hit. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Stress zaps your drive. When stress goes up, low dopamine levels leave you unmotivated and craving quick rewards. That's where you start seeing people reaching for energy drinks or even reaching for stimulants, cocaine, heroin. I had a person just the other day come in. They're lonely, and they fell victim to the sadness, which lowered their serotonin, so their joy button was down, and that's a real thing, right? And then that also, they have a high-stress job, so their dopamine levels got hit, and they were looking for a quick pick-me-up, and they reached for the worst idea, a drug, a cocaine-type drug. And it, of course, had the time of their life until 2 days later they found themselves in a hospital because they were in now AFib. Their minerals were zapped, so God's tranquilizers weren't there to stabilize them, and they found that they couldn't get a grip. They went from like a stress of a 4-5 to a 9-10 and couldn't get out of it. And making that jump stressed their mineral load. It stressed their adrenals, their organs, and it made them vulnerable to not being able to check their brake system and get a grip on what is reality, and their heart is flipping out. That's AFib. And yes, AFib can be from some people calling it autoimmunity, which is, in my opinion, a virus or a parasite that's affecting and attacking the heart. And these are things that we would do. When we look at a patient, person, human, if I drew you a triangle, the top of the triangle is essentially the symptom that you might be dealing with. And it's affected by the bottom, toxins or deficiencies. That's the only two things that are driving organs to malfunction and not respond in a normal, healthy way. If the organ systems are being bombarded by stress factors from the environment, but the toxic load is high or the deficiency low is too low, then the organ itself cannot work like it's supposed to. Your symptom, in this case stress, goes up. Your anxiety goes up. So we're pushing your body to drive forward but you have no brakes, you have no boundaries, and your system goes off the rails. And now a symptom will turn into a diagnosis, because whatever you were trying to treat with at the local level and over the counter now is being diagnosed at a medical office, because that's where you find yourself, and they're going to prescribe you a medication. And then it's going to progress further into syndromes if that's left unchecked, where you have multiple diagnoses that are causing your body to just completely deflate. The way you fix that is we go and replete the nutritional need you have, and we fix the toxic burden you're carrying by deburdening you, and then we do practice management of things that you can do in life to manage the stress on the organs from the environment, and all of a sudden these symptoms start reversing, and you replace the symptom with energy. You replace the diagnosis with vitality. You replace the syndromes with longevity. That's a 90-day, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month process, or for some of us, a lifelong journey where we're just prone to anxiety, we're prone to stresses, and that all started even as far back as the womb. If your parents were super duper stressed out in the womb, you think the world is a stressful place, and you have to know then you're going to have to figure out resources and tools, whether they knew how to teach you those or not, on how to manage that for yourself. If you were in the womb and you felt your parents very loving and kind to each other, you would know that in the womb, and you would think the world is a lovely, wonderful place, and you'd be more parasympathetically lifted, where you can stay in joy, you can stay in happiness. So we always try to help people understand the difference between happy and joy is serotonin. Happy is here today, gone tomorrow. That's dopamine. And so we have to help regulate those neurotransmitters, and we need the GABA there to pump the brakes, essentially, to maximize your ability to shift from place to place, because they're both good, but one is sustaining, serotonin, one is not. One is here today, gone tomorrow. Your Snickers bar, your dopamine. Your coffee, your dopamine. Your drug of choice, if you will, metaphorically speaking. And so I want you to just think about that triad and see, how does your organ systems fire against when stress hits? How do your deficiencies impact your organs and your toxic load? And have you done a detox this year? Have you done a check to see what your heart is doing? Have you done a parasite cleanse in and around the full moon? Have you done what you can do in your own way to deburden your body of stress, and then see your body continue to evolve forward, maximizing how you perform in life? So it's really exciting for me to see what we can do stress-wise in order to maximize how your body is going to live out your best days. So it's just really exciting to kind of see how all that plays out. So that's kind of the biochemical stress. So back to the stress acronym I wanted to build for you. So the S is going to be sleep better. You've got to also look at sleep patterns. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. So we have 17 sleep secrets to help you sleep better each and every day, whether that's pulling, electromagnetic fields away from your head while you sleep, like cell phones, alarm clocks, computers, TVs. I mean, we don't even have a TV in our bedroom, right? Because we want to create this nice dark cave, this nice dark cool cave. So we have an 8 sleep. If you haven't seen an 8 sleep bed, it's so cool, because my wife can have her side nice and warm, my side's nice and cool. And I like a cooler room. She likes a little warmer, but this allows us to have our individuality and how our bodies sleep well. But people sleep better in the cool. And so we want to make sure that you're getting good sleep. That's S. And then take an assessment, the T. If you learn to take an assessment, inventory your stress level, your ability to manage your day right out the gate. So you got to do this first thing in the morning, is going to allow you to measure the day. Effects of the day are going to absolutely play out better if you already know where you are hot button wise. Okay, so, and then when we look at the R, we want to rehydrate. The R in rehydrate is so important, whether we're rehydrating with water, electrolytes, the healthy salt. So every morning when I get up in the morning, I do a quarter to a half teaspoon of my wellness salt, which is 80 plus trace elements and trace minerals in the salt, not just sodium and chloride. I don't want the little girl with the umbrella. She'll kill you. I want good, healthy salts, sea salts that are 2,500 meters below the sea, from Hawaii, from Australia, that are sun-dried in such a way that give time for nature to bring the perfect element and balance to the surface so I can put it into my body. And my body, electrolyte-wise, will work better. I won't need as much water. But if you're not doing salts, if you're not doing electrolytes, 1 liter of water per 50 pounds of body weight is a good assessment for knowing how much water you need. Too many times people come in, only drink 1 bottle of water. I have this one patient comes in, and no word of lie, he drinks Monsters and coffee every day. And he's a chiropractic patient. So when I adjust him, his body, when I adjust him, is not good. I mean, I like bounce off whenever I adjust him. Well, slowly but surely, okay, your life, your health, your choice. I've gotten him to consume more water and electrolytes on the days that he comes and sees me. And fascinatingly, guess who moves better? Guess who gets a better adjustment? Guess who walks out and says, man, that was the best adjustment I've ever had? That guy. Why is that? Because he's got now lubrication in the body. His body's not so hot and dry like a desert wasteland. Now his body's lubricated and it's feeling fresh like a river, and it's being like Bruce Lee, be one with the water. You know what I mean? So that's good, right? The electrolytes and the hydration change the game. And then so we got the S, we got the T for sleep, take assessment, and then rehydrate. And then we've got exercise. Of course I was going to talk about exercise. If the dude don't move, what do we know? The dude don't groove. You've got to stay active, folks. You've got to move, because movement gives grace to you making mistakes in life. Movement is great for your lymphatics. It's great for stress management. It's great to help you sleep better. How does exercise, something that ramps you up supposedly, help you sleep better? Again, if you're the person like me that's, jacked up on energy all the time, not because I'm hitting energy drinks, it's because I'm just a type A personality. I'm very driven, and so I exercise to come down so that when I come in for a restful sleep, I don't overshoot the runway and I'm wide awake staring at the ceiling for an hour. That is not normal. You should be asleep in 7 to 10 minutes. And if you're not, you need to come check us out. JustLiveWell.com, drchapawellness.com. And this is a amazing opportunity to understand where your body's breaking down and what you can do to fix you. And you deserve to be fixed. And exercise can take a lot of guesswork out of what doctors functionally or alternatively need to do for you, because you're taking the bull by the horns and doing your own work. Okay, so and then as we get into this stress and renewal, we want to set goals. So what do you want your life to look like? The next S after E is set goals. What do you want your life to look like 90 days from now? If you are dealing with anxiety, first and foremost, you've got to have some of these conversations with yourself. So you would say, hey, on the stress scale, I'm a 7, 8, or 9. How do I want to feel right now? Well, I want to be a 3 or a 4. I want to be a 1 or a 2. And if you can have this dialogue with yourself, neurologically, you pull yourself out of your reactive brainstem back into your cortical brain, where you can think, where you can ask yourself questions, where you can calm your nerves. And so you have to ask the question, hey, Aaron, how do you want to feel right now? Do you want to be stressed? How's that stress serving you right now? It's not. Okay, well, what are you going to do with it? I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. All right, get a pen and paper out. Let's write out how we could feel if we didn't have the stress. Let's start jotting down everything that's in our mind. Let's just unload on paper. And it's so interesting when the pen is the crowbar to the mind. When you begin to write and you start stimulating that cortical brain, you can't embellish. You could ask yourself, how do you really feel right now? Am I really stressed, or can I find something to be thankful for, something to be grateful for? You know, as a matter of fact, let me write out 10 things I'm thankful for. Let me write out 10 goals. Because if I set goals, if I set a mission and I get myself back on purpose, all of a sudden stress begins to manage itself way better. And then, of course, I can't go through a stress anxiety talk without talking about the last S, which is what? It's supplements. If you're not supplementing, you're missing that opportunity when you're at an 8, 9, 10 level, that freak out, that, that panic overload, you're about to, split your wig. Nevaton, one of my favorite products, it's Skullcap, it's Damiana, it's Saffron, it's St. John's, will calm your mind. It'll increase your bandwidth. It'll allow you to think through the process of what you're faced with, and your body will, in 15 minutes or less. I've never seen a drug do anything like it. It'll calm you, cool you quickly. It's very good. And then when I look at knowing that I've got a history of stress, I'm a history of type A, I'm overwhelmed, I got a lot of deadlines in the season of life I'm in, raising 4 kids, and I'm just using myself as an example because I think it's relatable, right? Business owner, want to do podcasts for you guys, want to teach other doctors, want to teach patients, want to make sure that I'm investing and giving back as much as I can. Well, that all takes a toll on my stress load. So I surely better be supplementing my adrenal glands. Supplement, that last S, right? Is I give my body tools, adrenal food, vitamin C, fat-soluble B vitamins, straight-up adrenal desiccated nutrients. I want to feed a steak dinner to my adrenals, and so should you. Your adrenal glands live right on top of your kidneys, and they're these little tinfoil hats, and they will stabilize how your body manages cortisol or adrenaline or norepinephrine so that you're not flying off the rails all the time. And then last but not least, supplementing with minerals, God's tranquilizers, to calm our nerves so that we're calm, cool, and collected, so that our body doesn't get off running 90 miles an hour down a road that only had a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. So you have to pay attention to all the factors of stress. So sleep well, take inventory or take an assessment, rehydrate with electrolytes, salts, and water, right? You want to exercise, and then you want to set goals or set a thankful list, and then, or what do you want set who you want to be in 3 minutes and 3 days and 30 days and 90 days. And then, of course, supplement your way back out of a crazy stressful moment or through a crazy making stressful season. Sometimes we go through seasons where the storm seems real. And of course, when we're dealing with stress and anxiety, I always like to, end on Philippians 4, 6, and 7. It's out of the Bible. And it says that be anxious for nothing, but in everything, with thanksgiving, with prayer and supplication, present your request to God, and the peace of God, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart, your mind, and your soul through Christ Jesus. That gets me excited. I give my cares to the Lord. I say, Lord Jesus, I know that you said I could carry your burden. I could have your yoke because it's easy and light. Please take this burden. Please take this yoke that I've been created. Even if I created it myself, even if I didn't create it myself and somebody's enforcing it, I can find hope in knowing that you're there, that you won't leave me or forsake me. And so there are so many great ways to start the journey to managing stress, dealing with anxiety. And I just want to reach into into my camera audience and say, guys, I love you. I believe in you. And I know that you don't have to live with stress and anxiety. We got tools, resources, and ideas to help you live your best life. So on the Dr. Chapa Wellness Show, I want you guys to share this information out on all social media platforms, and rest assured, it's just going to get better. It only gets better as we go onward, upward, goodward, and Godward together. So I hope you're inspired today, and I hope you go out today and do something amazing. God bless you.